All right. So to start with this class, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little lecture and a little presentation on what 3D printing is, and just the general like history and design process behind everything we're going to learn. All right. So let me get started with this. All right. So let's make it nice and small. There you go. Okay. So 3D design and prototyping. All right. So in this class, we're going to be covering how to design things using Fusion 360 and just the entire design process and workflow of how to 3D print things. All right, we'll be skipping the 3D printing part, but we're still going to talk a lot about it because that is one of the main applications of what we're going to be learning this week. All right, so 3D printing, it was invented in 1981. So you may think of 3D printing as like a super modern and like brand new technology, but it's actually been around for almost 40 years already. Right, it was invented in Japan by Hideo Kodama, um, and the way he created it is it was using additive manufacturing. But instead of, well, we'll talk about how current 3D printers work. But basically, it used like a laser and a little resin that hardened when like a laser was pointed at it to create uh, whatever 3D object you wanted, layer by layer. All right, and then in the late 80s, some guy named Scott Crump developed a similar 3D printing method, but instead of using a laser and resin, it basically does what, if you guys have ever seen a 3D printer work like recently, it works more similar to how that works right now, by taking a spool of filament, like plastic string, and then melting it and placing it down in whatever patterns you want. Okay, so let's talk about how the 3D printing process works. All right, so there's three main steps to 3D printing. All right, the first step is actually creating the file in Fusion 360, all right, or whatever software you want to be using. All right, this part is probably the hardest step because and you can take the most time on this because depending on what you're making, it can be quite complex. You have to really specify the exact dimensions in all three dimensions and how you want your object to look. All right, this is where we're going to be spending most of our time, and we're going to be learning how to effectively and efficiently create stuff in Fusion 360. The second step is once you're done with your file, you can export it to something called a slicer, right? What a slicer does is you can think of it as like a translator in between your 3D file and your 3D printer, right? Your 3D printer doesn't really understand how to print an object that you just give it. So you need to actually take that object and you need to break it down into very small, specific instructions that the printer can understand. Um, and that's done using what's called a slicer. All right, it's called a slicer because it essentially takes your object and like slices it into thousands of little bits that your printer is going to then make. um, and the third and final step is your printer actually goes ahead and prints things. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at how it actually works, how a 3D printer can make 3D objects using just plastic and like a little machine. Right, so the main way that it works is you have something called filament. All right, I already touched on this for a little bit, but basically filament, if you guys have ever seen a 3D printer working, there's this little thing called a spool at the back, and that's basically just this really thin string or like thin, it's not like a string, it's a very thin plastic, about 2 millimeters in diameter. All right. Um, and it's just plastic in that shape that goes and you can route it into the tip of your 3D printer. That's called the extruder, right? Which is going to use motors to push that filament down into something called the hot end, right? Which is a little piece of metal with a hole in it that heats up and pushes that plastic out. Right? If you guys have ever used a 3D pen, it works similarly to that. Or another example, guys, if any of you have used a hot glue gun before, how many of you guys have used a hot glue gun before? I'm hoping all of you have. Khaled used a hot glue gun. Uh, Jacob. Anyone else? Aisha and Azima, awesome.
I've used one.
Ian's got one too. All right. How about Laszlo? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Everyone's used a hot glue gun. All right. So if you remember how a hot glue gun works, you have this little like big thick tube at the back of your hot glue gun, right? Which is essentially just like hardened plastic, right? Um, and it's actually a very good example because hot glue guns and 3D printers work very similarly, right? You plug it into a wall, the tip gets really hot. I'm sure you guys have experienced that if you've ever touched the tip accidentally and burned your finger, right? And then you like press the trigger and it pushes that glue in through the back and it melts as it comes out the front, and then you can go and spray it wherever you want, right? 3D printer does that same thing, but it does it a lot more like carefully and methodically, right? So it's going to push the filament or the like glue through the hot end, which is like the tip of your hot glue gun, and then the machine's actually going to move around, right, and carefully place that glue to create whatever shape you want to make. But in this case, it's not glue; it's filament. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the components. All right, the thing that holds the plastic is called the spool. The extruder is the motor and part that like pushes the filament into the hot end, right? And the hot end is a very hot tip that is actually placing down the plastic on your object, right? The print bed is a little surface where your filament is getting placed down. Okay, usually this depending on what kind of printer you're using, this bed will either move in one axis or it won't move at all, right? But somehow that's just where all of the objects is going to be ending. The print bed is like the print area. So you can't actually print anything larger than your print bed, right? And if you actually look here on the picture on the right, you see how a 3D printer is placing down filament line by line, right, to make a 3D object. So there are a lot of applications for 3D printers. We're going to show a couple examples here. So if you guys have ever done any little maker projects or anything, you can make cool little gearboxes. There's a ton of really cool applications with this. You can print all sorts of different gear combinations and little mechanical machines. Right, here's actually an example of a 3D printer printing parts for another 3D printer. All right, so if you've actually, a lot of 3D printers use 3D printed parts because it's really easy to make them and they're quite like modular, right? And lastly, here are some prosthetic arms. Ian, what'd you say?
Other than the circuit board and the metal sticks?
Yeah, so there's some components that you obviously can't 3D print, right? So for instance, anything made out of metal. There actually are metal 3D printers, but most of the components that are on 3D printers are made out of plastic. So any of those little brackets, basically, if you look at this printer here, most of the like white parts here are 3D printed. So a good chunk of them are, and then there's just some metal rods and stuff and like bolts and screws that connect everything together. All right, lastly, we have some prosthetic arms and stuff. Because 3D printing uses plastic and is just really easy to set up and print something, it is quite cheap to use as well. So prosthetic limbs have like a reputation for being super expensive, but if you 3D print them, you can make some custom ones that are a lot cheaper. Okay. All right, there's some other stuff that's still like in progress, but currently organs and like spine replacements and stuff are being 3D printed. For instance, they're actually developing new methods of 3D printing to make like full-fledged organs and like kidneys and stuff. So that's really cool. Here on the right, you see like 3D printed casts. So applications of 3D printers in the medical industry are growing and are quite popular. And lastly, here's a really massive scale 3D printer. Instead of using molten plastic and layering that out, it's actually taking cement or like concrete and is layering it one by one. Is layering it to make a nice big house. Right?
Is that real?
It is real, actually. We can show you a video. Let's. 3D printed.
I'll send you the link. That's the good one.
So as you can see, right, the 3D print, like the cement is being pushed through the nozzle, and you can see it's going layer by layer and spewing it out. And you see, it looks quite nice. Obviously, you can't make the entire house, but you can make all the walls and like the decorations and everything. Um, like the hardest part you can cover with this, and then you have to like go and do some
That's
roofing.
cool.
So it's quite nice. It's like a developing industry, but I think they're actually making like an entire community somewhere. I don't remember where it is, but they already like
Yeah, it
they
makes
already
commercial
decided.
sense when you like rail
Yeah,
the rails along the street, and then the printer can move from house to house, and then keep printing them, and they can be all different. So not like
here it is. Let's see.
uh,
Where is this?
The world's first 3D printed community is officially underway thanks to this
In Mexico.
soft serve machine. I'm just kidding. Weighs nearly and cheap. The Vulcan 2 to prove the
Anyway,
effectiveness of
so
the
pretty nice houses too.
and bring it to the people who need
Like
it.
it's a little
I can
wrinkly on the sides, but
that,
for the
that's the
speed that they
design.
can create it, right? So they only need like one person there to man the 3D printer, right? Um, and I think it was like in 3 days or something, it can make an entire house. Uh, and then yeah, so they can build it wherever they want. They can build it in like 3 days, and then it's just up to like furnishing it and making it look a little nicer. But all the hardest parts can really easily be covered with that. All right. So I think that's just about it for our presentation here. We can maybe get started with, if Alex, if you want to show any other videos or anything, we can do that. Or we can go ahead and start with Fusion 360 and do a little introduction in there. Okay. Is there anything else you want to show, Alex?
No, I wanted just to toss the couple of examples of what we will be making and part of the class. Some of the renders that we will work on in the end. So if Tim, you can toss it on your screen and show. So it basically in the end we will focus on creating a marketing flyer or marketing presentation of a product of your liking, right? So you can start brainstorming right now of what would you like to use to present. And so imagine if you would, for example, have an idea of a product. You want to create super cool earphones or a wearable device, a gadget of any sort. So Fusion will give you all the information and skills to make it in Fusion. And then in the end, we will be rendering in photorealistic quality. So it will be looking the same as if you already produced it out of the materials, actual physical materials. And we'll render to a point when people won't be able to tell whether it's computer generated or whether it's a photographic image of actual product. So Tim, you sharing screen? I don't see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like few things that we were working on. For example, this watch is 100% computer generated, so it's not actual watch. And we will, and this is flashlight as well. It's completely 100% computer generated. So idea is to generate something. We also will work on how do you create entourage for your product. So for example, in the image in the middle has it's like some sort of decoration, jewelry idea or something, and so that it wouldn't just hang in the plain air or be suspended in black void space. We can create a surface for it to lay on, and we're going to create some walls to be reflecting in it, and we will work as well with different materials and its properties to applying glossy, matte, and physical properties of a physical material like leather, stone, wood, things like that. And you can incorporate those materials in your design as well as use those materials to create surrounding for your design. So we'll start today with the very basic things. We'll start with sketching, and we'll go ahead and progress further into 3D techniques. But that's the end result that we will be striving to move towards. At the end of the class on Friday, we're all going to have a small presentation. Each one of you will design a product and get it rendered. and talk about it, what he've used it, what kind of materials, what's the products for, application and things like that. And then tomorrow, if you actually have a need to present like a big company or a startup with your idea of a product, you will be able to design it, do it, and then send it to the marketing department, a render of showing the different angles of the stuff that you have in mind. Okay. All right, Tim.
All right.
Let's jump to actual designing, hands-on.
Okay, in that case, what we can do is go ahead and open up Fusion 360, guys, and we can get started in here. All right, we're gonna be spending most of our time in Fusion 360 talking about all the different tools and design methods and creating a lot of different cool projects. Okay, for today, we're mostly going to be doing like a little introduction, learning about the basics of 3D modeling and taking a look at some of the unique ways that Fusion 360 3D models. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting and doing some more advanced stuff, making different objects, and then maybe starting to work on little projects. Like you saw those flashlights and watches and stuff. All right, we might not be going that advanced right away. We'll start with like, I don't know, teacups and lamps and stuff. But we'll slowly work our way up, okay? All right, so can everyone let me know if they have Fusion 360 open?
Yes.
Okay, so Ian's got Fusion 360
Yeah, I have
open.
it
How
open.
about, do you guys have it open?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, awesome. Jacob's got it. Kyle's got it. Laszlo, how about you? Hello?
Laz, are you there? Might went to the bathroom.
Okay.
Guys, we recommend you to have like two screens side by side if there's real estate on your computer screen allows you. So if you're using like large display, it's better to have Fusion and Zoom window that Tim is sharing side by side, so you can look at his instruction and repeat the stuff on your own software. If you're using smaller screen laptop, then you might need to like flip back and forth between it. So in this case, just let us know and Tim will give some breaks. So we'll show you how to do it, show the technique, and then give you some free 5-10 minutes for you to try it out. And then if you need help, or raise your hand or put it in chat, or just unmute yourself and say that I need help, and we can I can even go to breakout room with you and help you out. Or it's a small class, so we can fix your issues while everybody else is watching, so that you could everybody could learn from each other's mistakes. Laszlo's PC hates him, so he needs a second to fix it up.
Okay, I'm just gonna start talking about some basic things about Fusion. You don't necessarily have to have it open yet. You can just listen in, and I'll talk about how everything is working and where everything is gonna be here in Fusion. All right, so the first thing you need to know is that Fusion 360 is something called a parametric modeling software. All right. So have any of you guys done any 3D modeling before? Have you used like is it called Tinkercad? No, it's called Tinkercad. There you go. Have any of you guys used like Tinkercad or like SketchUp or
Oh yeah, I use SketchUp.
Blender or something? So now there's going to be a little bit of a difference between all of these different ways of creating objects. So there are some softwares like Blender, for instance, that have you like create objects and then go ahead and modify those objects like faces and vertices and stuff to create whatever shape you want, right? Fusion 360, however, is called parametric, meaning you start with like a 2D sketch of an object, All right, and then you have various different methods of turning that 2D sketch into a 3D object. All right, so for instance, if I wanted to create a rectangle, or not, if I wanted to, okay, I just ruined it for you guys. If I wanted to create a cylinder, what shape do you think I would have to draw on my 2D sketch?
Circle.
A circle, right? Because a cylinder is just a circle stretched out vertically. We haven't talked about how we're going to be turning these sketches into 3D shapes, but you can see already it's quite intuitive how you can create 2D sketches into 3D objects. All right, there are various ways that you can turn 2D shapes into 3D objects. We're going to be starting with one of the simplest ones today, and over the rest of the week, we're going to be learning all of the different methods and how we're going to be using them to create all sorts of complex shapes. All right, there is also more than one way to create the same object, and we'll show that later as well. For instance, with like a cylinder, for example, you can either create it by dragging a circle out of the ground, or another way to do it, it would be to rotate a rectangle around the center. If you don't understand what that means, don't worry about that for now. We're going to explain it in the next couple of days. All right. One more thing that you'll notice is that in Fusion, there are a couple important things around our screen. The most important thing is our middle area here, this big white area in the middle. All right, this right here is where all of your designing is going to be going. All right, this is your design space. Okay, any objects you're creating, any sketches you're creating, anything you're working on is going to be showing up here. Yeah, Khaled? Is that Khaled or Ian? Ian.
Mine isn't all white. It's it has lines all over it.
Ah, like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about that.
It's actually
If
better.
it doesn't look white, or if it has like grids or something, just as long as it looks like something like this, it's fine. All right, the grids will show up a little later if you're still working on it. Okay. So this right here is your design space. On the top, this is called your toolbar. All right, your toolbar is where all of the tools that you're going to be using are going to be stored, and where you're going to go to get them from. All right, so for instance, if I wanted to create a sketch or something, I would go up here, find that over here. All right, we're not going to be going that much outside of Solid. All right, so don't worry about these options here: Surface, Sheet Metal, and Tools. Solid is the main one we're going to be using. Okay, but this is where all your tools are. And the last one is your browser over here. All right, this is showing you all of the things that are inside of your documents, inside of your model. All right, as of the moment, I don't have anything added into my document, so it just looks plain. It has document settings. All right, this is where I can set the units that I want to be using. Okay, under document settings. And you'll also notice each of the options here has a little arrow next to it. If you press the arrow, it's like a drop-down menu. Okay, it'll drop down units. I can actually edit my units if I want. For instance, if you guys like using inches for some reason, you can try to do that, but we will be using millimeters because it's just nicer. There's also like named views and then the origin. Okay, but when I start adding some more stuff, you'll see how the browser changes here. Okay, actually, I lied. One last thing in here that's kind of important is this little cube in the top right. This little cube right here is like an orientation cube. It's basically showing you where you are in 3D space right now. All right, using a 3D software is a little bit weird because it's quite weird to like see where you are, where you're looking, and work on the entire 3D object at once. But this cube shows me that I'm currently looking at like the top left corner or like the top right corner, right? And if I were to move around in the space, we haven't showed you how to move around in the space, but you can see I can move, and you'll see that cube changes. Okay, it like moves around to match what I'm looking at. Okay, after we add an object to our shape, I'm gonna to our design space, I'm gonna teach you guys how to like move. But for now, let's just start by adding something simple. Okay, let's start by just creating a cool little cube. All right, now here's a question, guys. If I want to create a cube, what 2D shape do you think I need to draw?
A square.
A square. Awesome. All right, so to start, I need to actually draw this 2D shape. Now, to start creating a 2D drawing, in Fusion, that's actually called a sketch. All right. And to create a sketch, we're going to go up here to the top left and click this little button that says Create Sketch. All right, this button is going to make 3 little planes pop up in the middle. Now you're probably wondering, oh, why are there planes? All right. Now the reason for this is because, again, we're working in 3D space. So it wants to know if I want to draw on the left wall, the right wall, or the floor. All right. Don't be intimidated by this. Depending on what you're doing, you may want to draw on different ones of the planes. All right, but in our situation right now, okay, and until I tell you otherwise, you want to probably be drawing on the ground. All right, so click on the ground. All right, and you'll see that your camera kind of refocuses and starts looking down at your ground now. And on our ground, there's a grid system now. There's little numbers here showing like how big the grid is. And you'll notice our cube in the top right now says top. All right, that's a very important thing because that means that we're looking at it from the top, which is exactly what we would expect if we're looking at the floor, right? Now, guys, let me know if you guys were able to get that working, right? All right, or if you need some clarification on what just happened. Okay, tell me something.
I'm slightly
Give me like a thumbs
confused.
up or something.
I'm slightly confused.
You're slightly confused. Okay, I'll do it one more time. All right, so basically we were over here. Basically, we clicked the top left button that says Create Sketch. All we did was click on the plane that looks like it's on the floor. Okay, the little orange square that's on the floor. Khaled, were you able to create a sketch? Does your cube say top and do you see a grid?
I figured it out now.
Okay, awesome. Ian, Jacob, how about you guys?
I'm already at the top.
I think I'm
so.
good.
Okay, Jacob's good. Aisha, Azima, how are you? Hello? No?
I'm not at the top yet.
Yeah, I'll show it one more time. Okay, you're here, top left, click the button that says Create Sketch when you hover over it. And then click on the orange square that looks like it's on the floor. Bam.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, now over here, all right, you'll notice that as soon as we do that, I'm gonna do that one more time, guys, so you guys can look at my toolbar right here. As soon as I click the floor, all of my tools change to some weird sketch-specific tools. All right, so instead of having my sketch, extrude, revolve stuff, I have a line, rectangle, circle, spline, mirror, and arc. All right, under modify now, I have fillet, trim, and offset, and then I have this completely new section here called constraints. All right, we'll talk about constraints a little bit later, but for now, let's just do something simple. Let's just create a cool little cube. All right, now you'll notice there is no option here for a square, right? Does anyone have a guess for why that is?
There's a 2-point rectangle.
There is a 2-point rectangle, right? A rectangle is a square. Wait, yes. No. A square is a rectangle, right? So if I want to create a square, I can just grab the rectangle tool and just make sure that all my sides are the same length, right? One thing you'll also notice, there are a ton of tools in Fusion 360. So if you don't see one of the tools up here on the toolbar, these are like your shortcuts, right? The full amount of tools is if you click on the little arrow here next to create, or just anywhere on this create menu here, you'll see the whole like armada come out of tools. All right, you can see there's like 3 different rectangles you can make, right? 5 different circles, 3 different arcs, 3 different polygons, ellipses, slots, splines, right? All sorts of random stuff, all right? But if you want something that's on the toolbar up here, just use that. So I'm going to grab the rectangle, guys. I'm going to click on rectangle. And you'll notice now, if you look real close at my mouse, you'll see there's a little tiny rectangle following it around, right? It follows my mouse around. And this basically just tells me that I have the rectangle tool selected. If I want to deselect the rectangle tool, if I want to go back to normal, I don't want to draw a rectangle anymore, what I can do is I can click the escape key on the top left of my keyboard. You'll notice I click the escape key and my mouse is back to normal. My rectangle tool is gone. I can highlight stuff again. I don't know. You can do whatever you want with that. One more thing. If I want to select the rectangle tool is a very common tool. So there are shortcuts for us to do it. Instead of going all the way up here and clicking it, you'll actually notice when I hover over it, in little brackets here, it says R, which tells us that the shortcut for the rectangle tool is the key R on our keyboard. If I click R, right, it instantly gives me the rectangle and now I can use it. All right, guys, one important thing to also note about Fusion 360, this is something that a lot of kids will get confused about when they're first using it because they're used to like using Paint or PowerPoint or something. When using the tools, very rarely will you drag your mouse. So you'll never click and hold the mouse. Right? Usually you're going to be clicking somewhere and then clicking somewhere else.
I don't know.
Right? Especially when you're sketching.
I had to troubleshoot this because
How's it going now?
Okay. So for instance, for the rectangle tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a square in the middle here. So I'm going to click once in the top left of where I want that square to be. And then I'm going to move my mouse. Okay, I'm not holding down my mouse right now. I just clicked once. Okay, and I'm going to move it where I want the second corner to be. And I'm going to click again, and bam, square has been made. Okay, so I want you guys to do that. Grab the rectangle tool and draw a square. You can't draw a square. Khaled, why can't you draw a square?
There's no, when I do that, it just highlights a certain area.
Did you select the rectangle tool?
Yeah.
Share your screen and show us. You have to click in one corner and click in the other corner. Don't drag.
Now I got that. Thank you.
You're good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The most important shortcut that you need to know, guys, is the Control Z, so that you can undo stuff, because sometimes you create a squiggly thing that is despicable and you wish you never done it. So in this situation, you do Control Z and it will just remove it. Or that little, Tim, did you show that little undo button right on top?
Yeah, guys, so for instance, if I like drew a really bad rectangle, so I did something like, I like grabbed my rectangle tool and did like one of these or something. And I'm like, oh, it's not centered, it's not square, right? And I want to undo it. What I can do is there's two things I can do. Either I can go up here to the top left corner and click this little like back button and it'll just get rid of it. Or what I can do is I can click Control Z on my keyboard. I'm going to hold Control and click Z, right? And then I can draw my perfect nice square in the middle.
Control Shift Z is redo.
Is it? No, Control Y is redo.
I thought Control Shift Z also works.
I think it depends on the program, but I don't think it doesn't work in Fusion. Or maybe it works on your computer. You can try it.
Weird.
Okay, Laszlo, if you're still having computer trouble, don't worry too much because these classes are going to be recorded as well. So we're going to post them to like a private YouTube playlist, and we're going to send you guys the link over email after this class is over. All right. So it may be like around 4-ish. They should be uploaded. So if you guys missed something or you want to go ahead and catch up, those lectures will be up there. Okay, but Laszlo seems like he's got it working. All right, so try to go ahead and get to where we are right now, get a rectangle going, and if you need help, we can help you out there, okay? Awesome. Okay, so guys, does everybody have the square? Does anybody need help with the square? No, everyone's good?
I need help.
Oh, you need help. Okay, can you share your screen?
Okay. Right here. So I already got something going, but I can't get the square in the middle, and I can't make it bigger.
Can you just undo it?
Okay.
Okay, and now draw a new rectangle. And this time just make it pre-centered. No, just no. Like start a little to the top left.
Okay.
Escape. Click escape. If you
Yeah,
start
honestly,
from the center,
this
it's
works
automatically
too. It
complete.
doesn't have to be centered.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's fine. Can yeah, can you just click finish sketch? That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, once you're done creating sketches here, all right, we did something really simple here, so we're done for now, but we'll come back and do some more advanced stuff later. When we're done here, let's go ahead and just click finish sketch, so the green check mark in the top right.
Can I come with the mouse?
All right, now let's just quickly turn this into a 3D object, and then I'll show you how to actually navigate in 3D space. All right, so when you click finish sketch, one thing you'll also notice, it should actually shift your view a little, so you have a nice cool looking perspective of your rectangle, so you can see it from the side. All right, and now let's see how we can turn this into a 3D object. So in
Don't you have to
360,
use like extrude or something?
yes. So in Fusion 360, the most simple method to create 3D objects is called extrude. All right, it's the second option here on the create tab. All right. If you click on extrude, you'll notice actually, and this is something that'll happen for a lot of tools in Fusion 360. So guys, if you can get used to what's about to happen, right? If you can get used to reading these little toolbar things that come up whenever you click buttons, you will be able to use basically any tool in Fusion 360 without me even having you to teach, without even having me to teach you how to use it. All right. So when I click extrude, you'll notice the little menu comes up. All right, it's going to ask several things. The first thing it's asking is for a profile to extrude. For me, it by default selected the only sketch in my file. All right, but if it was unselected like this, it would ask me to basically select what I want to extrude. So I would click on this. It would highlight it blue, and a little arrow would appear. Okay, next, the easiest part to just extrude is I'm going to click this arrow, and I'm just going to drag it up until I have a cube, basically. So I'm just going to drag it to 50 millimeters. All right, and when I think that's fine, all I need to do is click OK or Enter on my keyboard. All right, I'm going to read through some of these options again just to make sure you guys understand what they do. So the start here is basically just saying where you want to start the extrude from. You can usually leave most of these as default. All right, actually, we'll talk about these more when we start to edit them out, but you can see there's a lot of different options here, and one of them is actually distance. So I can actually edit the distance by hand here to make it however much I want it to be extruded instead of having to use the arrow. All right, then we have taper angle. Don't worry about that one for now. And operation is to create a new body. All right, one more thing that's going to happen is that when I click OK, if you look up here in the top left, right, a new little tab is going to pop up that's called bodies. Bam, there it is. This tab just popped up because we created our first body. All right, and here it is, our cool little cube. There you go. All right, so I'll give you a second, guys. Go ahead and try to extrude your cube out into 3D space. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to learn how to navigate around in Fusion 360, because the hardest part about like 3D programs is how to move efficiently in them.
Okay, I got a question. It seems as I've reset my camera angle because I'm in bird's eye view. Not quite sure what I did.
You're in bird's eye view.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from bird's eye view.
Like from top down? Okay.
Yeah.
What for now, what you can do is, do you see the cube in the top right?
Yep.
Can you just click the home button that pops up?
Oh, okay, thanks.
Is it supposed to say free trial in the top left corner?
It's not. We can fix that in a sec. That'll work for now, but we'll take some time this week to make sure that everyone's accounts are activated and everything, okay? Okay, repeat that step again. All right, so you have a sketch like this. All right, you're gonna click extrude in the top left. And you're gonna, it should by default select it, but if it doesn't, you're gonna click on it. All right, and then you're just gonna drag the arrow up however much you want. And then you're gonna click OK. And then you have a cube.
I don't have the arrow.
Did you click on the sketch?
Yeah?
Just make sure you click on the square and then an arrow should appear.
Yeah, I don't see any arrow.
Are you looking at it from the top?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, I think we can start moving around a little bit. Was everyone able to get a cube? Can you say if you have it? I think Khaled's got his cube, right? Laz got one. Ian, how about you? What, Jacob, Aisha?
Yes.
Okay, Aisha Zima got one, and Ian's got one. I think Jacob, how are you doing?
I got it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at how to navigate. So we have a cube. All right, let's say I want to look at the other side, or I want to zoom out, or I want to move to the side or something. All right, these are all things that we can do. All right, and we're going to be using our mouse for all of them. All right. So the first thing, and probably the most intuitive and easiest thing to do, is zooming in and out. If I want to zoom out, I'm going to just scroll up. Okay, you can use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Just guys, try that out right now. Go ahead and zoom in. And one thing you'll notice is it actually zooms in where your mouse is. So you'll see if I move my mouse over here, it's not going to zoom in on the cube. It's going to zoom in on my mouse. Right, if I want to zoom in on the cube, right, maybe if I want to zoom in on this vertex, I need to put my mouse there. Okay, wherever your mouse is, that's where it's going to zoom.
All right, so
Okay.
currently, if we were to just straight print this, would it just be a huge block of plastic, or when we want to make it a hollow?
So that would actually be decided in the slicer. As of the moment, raw right now, this is just like a hunk of plastic. This is just a cube. All right, but if you put it in the slicer, since it's like full of plastic inside, this you can specify whether you want it to be like fully 100% filled, if you want it to be fully hollow, or if you want it to have like a grid pattern inside for some structural stability. All right, but we'll talk about that more when we actually get into slicing stuff. Okay, But anyway, so guys, the first one, zooming in. Can you guys please practice this a little? Practice zooming. Zoom. Woo. Okay. The next thing, let's say I zoom in on this corner here, but I want to actually be looking at that corner over there. All right, I can either zoom out all the way and do this, or I can do something called panning. All right, the way that we pan in Fusion is we're going to click on our scroll wheel. All right, so this is why it's important to have a mouse. I hope all of you guys have a mouse right now. All right, if you don't, there are ways around this, but it's a lot harder. So with my mouse right now, if I just click on my scroll wheel, all right, you'll notice my cursor turns into this little hand. Okay, and I can now drag my cube. So this is as if I'm moving side to side, or I'm moving my cube side to side. You can think of it however you want. You can think of it as you moving, or you can think of it as the cube moving.
There is a
doesn't really
pan
matter.
button on the bottom.
There is a hand button on the bottom. So basically, middle mouse is the easiest way to do this. If you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, or a mouse with a clickable scroll wheel, or a mouse at all, what you can do is you can just click on the hand and use that to pan around. And then you'll have to like click escape when you want to get rid of it. All right, but the scroll wheel is definitely easier. So guys, I want you to try these two together now. Scroll, zoom in, pan over. All right, zoom out, pan down, zoom into the bottom, pan to the side. I don't know, do something fun. Okay, just move around, practice moving around. And then I'll introduce the last one, probably the most important one. All right, give this a sec. Practice around, you know, just shake your cube. Your Fusion closed. Okay, reopen it. Did it like crash or did it just close? Which step, the extrude?
How do you stop panning?
How do you stop panning? Click escape. Or let go of the scroll wheel. Khaled, to extrude, you click extrude, you click on what you want to extrude, and you drag the arrow.
Okay, and also I'm having trouble panning.
You're having trouble panning. Does your mouse, do you have a mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on a Mac. Okay. You have a fancy Magic Mouse. Can you zoom in and out fine?
Yeah, I can zoom in
Hey,
and
wait,
out.
Alex, you had a Magic Mouse. Do you have any wisdom to give Khaled? Do you know how to pan on a Magic Mouse?
The Macintosh?
Yeah.
I never used Fusion on the Mac, but I would imagine that it should work the same way.
Khaled, try putting 2 fingers on the mouse and like sliding them around.
That just zooms in and out.
That just zooms in now. Okay, in that case, you're gonna have to pretend that you don't have a mouse, and to pan, you're gonna click the little hand down here.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see the hand at the bottom of the screen? It's like in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna click on that. It's gonna let you pan around for however long you want. Okay.
Okay.
And then when you want to stop panning, you're gonna click escape. All right.
Oh, okay. Yep, that works.
Okay. And the last step, guys, this is called orbiting. All right. Orbiting is like the main 3D operation that you're gonna be doing. It allows you to like rotate yourself around the object, or it doesn't really matter how you want to think about it. You can think of it as you're rotating the object. So to orbit, what you're going to do is it's going to be quite similar to how you pan, but before you click the middle mouse, I need you to hold Shift on your keyboard. All right? If you hold Shift, when you press middle mouse, instead of being a little hand, it becomes a little like atom or something. All right? And now check it out. I can rotate my cube all around. Okay, so I want you to practice using all of these together now. Okay, start by looking at the top right corner. All right, pan around and zoom in on the bottom left corner. All right, come to the top. Look at this one over here. Ooh, corner. Oh, another one. Okay, look at all of the different sides of the cube. Yeah, Jacob, if you want to go ahead and rejoin, that's fine. Oh, you hear an echo.
Her
Let
voice is
me just mute everyone. How about now?
still.
You hear an echo still? What about when you're muted? Okay, yeah, go ahead and try to rejoin. Maybe that'll help. All right, guys. So practice around orbiting and stuff. It is also 11 right now. All right. Just to make sure that you guys aren't sitting in your chairs for too long, what we're gonna do is every day we're gonna take a short little break at the halfway mark. All right. So we'll give you 5 minutes to go ahead and I don't know, go to the bathroom, go get some water, some cookies. I don't know. And rejoin here at 11:05. All right. And when you come back, we'll get into some more sketching, do some more advanced stuff, and hopefully make some cooler 3D objects. Okay? How do I orbit? Okay, yes, Laszlo. Hold Shift and then middle mouse, and then you can move. All right, guys, for those of you without a mouse, all right, instead of clicking the little hand, you're going to click the little orbit button in the bottom left. And then you can use that to rotate your cube, and then click escape when you want to restart, okay?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When I extrude, I'm only allowed to extrude to one side, and is it okay that my square isn't like in the middle?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Extruding to one side, let me see that. You sure?
Yeah, like I can't do I can't go like half. Is that okay? Like half
Oh,
of
you
one.
mean like one side at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. We'll talk about how to use extrude a little bit more powerfully later.
Yeah.
Right? For now, it is just one-sided though. Like that's what I have to.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Jacob, we are on break right now, so you are free to go get some water, go to the bathroom, and come back at 11:05. All right?
Okay.
Alrighty, guys. Hope you guys had a good break. Go ahead and let me know if you are back because I can't actually see or hear you guys. So
Hello.
say something in the chat if you're back right now.
So,
Hello.
hello.
Okay, Ian's here. And Laszlo's here.
Yep.
Did we lose someone? I think Khaled is gone. Jacob is eating ice cream. All right. Okay. I think everyone. Aisha, are you guys? And Azim, are you guys back?
What?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay. Awesome. I think Khaled disconnected, but hopefully he'll be back in a sec. If anything, you can watch the recorded lecture. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about how to do cool things in Fusion. All right. So firstly, this is mostly it for this project. This little cube here. All right. This was just an introduction to how to get some basic stuff going. We're going to go a little bit more advanced in the second half of this class. And we're going to focus a lot more on, for starters, we're going to start with sketches. And then we're going to take a look at how we can actually do things with our object after we extrude it. Okay, so Khaled's back. You didn't miss anything. Basically, we're about to save this cube.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of times in Fusion, when you finish a project, you want to actually make sure you save it. And even while you're working on it, it's important to do that. So to save it, what you're going to do is you can go ahead and click this little like save button in the top left. The one here that looks like a little floppy drive. All right. Or you can use the shortcut Control S. All right, so I'm going to click on that button. And now I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this cube. All right. Or like Tim's cube or something like that. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and click save. Notice in the top, it went from saying untitled or unnamed. I don't remember what it actually said. To cube. All right, cube V1. And one really cool thing about Fusion is you can actually have multiple projects open at the same time. So for instance, if you picture like Chrome with multiple tabs, right? Fusion works kind of similarly to that. That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to create a new project, a new file, right? To do that, we're going to click the plus button over here in the top right after you guys have saved. All right, has everyone saved their project already?
My for some reason when my computer turned off, Fusion was still there, and now Fusion closed, so now I might not have the same project.
Right, if you don't have the cube, that's fine. It's not like a great loss for you to lose a cube. We're gonna be working on something a little cooler next. So if you just reopen it, see what it gives you there.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, does anybody else need help saving, or is it all good?
I've saved mine.
Okay, she's good. You put a hole in your cube. Let's skip that for now, because I'm gonna be showing you a lot more modification and stuff when we get to our next project. All right. But theoretically, it's your cube. You can put whatever you want on it. Okay. So let's go ahead and make a new project. Okay, to create a new project, just like in Chrome, you're going to click the little plus button in the top right to create a new design. All right, and over here, you'll notice we're in a brand new file now. Completely blank. Everything is back to as it was when we first opened up Fusion. All right, and it's ready for us to start making cool things happen. All right. So let's start by focusing a lot more on the sketching side, because having a good foundation in how to sketch things and make everything properly is going to be really important for your next steps in how you're going to be making other more complex objects. Right? Sketching is where everything needs to start. Right? So everyone create a new project, and then let's go ahead and create new sketch. Okay, create sketch, and click on the floor plane. Okay. The main thing about Fusion that makes it really like robust and good for engineering projects is the fact that you can go very, very precise in your sketches and get exactly what you want from them. Right. Before, all we did, right, is we literally just made a little rectangle right here. Okay, guys, actually, for the next little bit, I'm just going to be doing demonstration stuff, so don't really follow along too much. I'm just going to be showing things. You don't need to try to keep up with what I'm doing. So if I'm not explaining what I'm doing, that means that you don't have to do it usually. Okay. So all we really did is we kind of threw a rectangle out here, right? And it's not very specific, right? We can move this rectangle however we want. We can wiggle it around, right? In Fusion, you don't want it to be like that. In Fusion, you want all of your lines and everything to be very defined, and you want everything to have like a specific place that it has to be with a specific size and relationship to everything around it, right? So for instance, if I wanted to draw, well, let me actually explain what these relationships mean real quick. Right? These relationships are called constraints. So if you were wondering what all of these options up here are, that's what they're called. They're called constraints. And constraints basically allow you to define a relationship between two lines. All right, one constraint that you may have heard of in your own life, right, or in school, is parallel. Does anyone know what parallel means?
Never touching lines.
Never touching lines, right? They're like lines that if you were to extend forever, they would never touch, right? This is an example of something that you guys have probably heard in school, right? And it's something that's also a constraint in Fusion 360. So let me show you an example of how this would work. If my Fusion didn't just crash, hold up, there you go. All right. So for instance, if I drew a line like this, and then another line like this, are these lines parallel right now?
No.
No, they're not parallel. Okay.
No, man.
But if I want to make them parallel, I can use the constraint tab here to do it. All right, now pay attention to this part very closely. How you apply constraints is you're going to first click on the constraint you want to use. And then you're going to click on the first line and the second line. All right?
Oh,
One
it's
line
magic.
and then another line. And it's going to apply that constraint to those two lines. All right, you'll notice the parallel constraint is still selected, so I'm just going to click escape. But these lines are now parallel, right? Can you guys confirm? Does this look parallel?
Yup.
Yep. Right. And there's nothing I can do to make them not parallel, right? If however I move them around, they're always going to be parallel. Even if, for instance, I were to like root this guy to this point, if I rotate it, the other one will rotate with it to stay parallel.
How do you get
Alright,
rid
this
of
is
the constraint?
How do you get rid of the constraint? Yeah. So this is a bond that cannot be broken anymore. All right. It will always be parallel. All right. It is a requirement for these guys to be parallel. To get rid of the constraint, you're just gonna click on that little parallel part, and you're gonna click delete or backspace. Either one works. And now you'll notice they're no longer parallel. I can do whatever I want, and they don't care. All right. There are a lot of other constraints. I'm going to go through each of these real quick and explain what all of them do. For starters, right, probably the most important one is actually, I'm going to start with coincident and then go to the rest of them. Coincident is basically just means that two things need to be in the same place. So for instance, if I have two lines like this. Hello? Like this. All right, and I want their two ends to be touching. What I can do is I can say coincident, and then I can click on this point and this point, and they'll be touching. Okay, now they're connected. I can't separate them unless I click on the point and I delete that coincident constraint, and then I can separate them. Okay, you can even make something coincident to a line. So for instance, if I want to make a point coincident to a line, it'll do that. Here. Okay, so now they're like connected together like this, right? And it's gonna be touching it basically always. All right. So, oh no. Okay, yeah, that's what coincident means. All right. One thing to note about Fusion is it will automatically actually it'll automatically create constraints if it sees that like you have placed something where it has constraints. All right. So for instance, if I click on this middle point and I draw a line, all right, there's automatically going to be a coincident constraint created here, and I won't be able to separate this line from the origin. This point in the middle, this is called the origin. All right. So Azima and Aisha, you guys were having a problem with this when you had a rectangle and you weren't able to move it. That's because it was attached to the origin, and you can't separate it. All right. To separate it, you would have to delete the coincident constraint, and then you can do whatever you want. Okay. Some other constraints. So for instance, if I drew a line like this, and I wanted to constrain it to be vertical, all right? Who remembers what vertical means?
Sideways?
Close. It is the opposite of sideways.
Up.
Vertical is up, down. So for instance, in Fusion, it actually is one constraint. All right, this first one here, horizontal, vertical, is basically going to make a line snap to the nearest horizontal or vertical. Okay, so if I click on this line, it'll snap to vertical. And you'll see now I can't do anything to move it apart from vertical. All right, it's going to try to be vertical forever. I can't really stop it. All right, if I were to move it closer to horizontal and then apply that constraint, it would snap to horizontal, and now I cannot move it anymore. Okay, that's a cool constraint. Another one here is called tangent. All right, we haven't actually used the circle tool yet, but let me quickly show you how that works. For the circle tool, it's you click in the center of the circle, and then you click on the outside of the circle, and it draws a circle. What the tangent tool does is it basically makes a line touch a circle perfectly at one point. All right, so you'll see these only touch at a very slim point here. Right, so it's quite cool how the tangent constraint works, but it's really good for getting like really slick edges going into circles. You can combine this with the coincident constraint to make it so you have a line that like seamlessly fits into a circle like this. Okay, kind of cool. The next one is equal. Does anyone have a guess for what this does? I think you should be able to guess this pretty easily, no?
Line.
Jacob, you're kind of
Equal in
quiet.
length
Do you want to move
lines.
closer to your mic?
Equal in length lines.
Yeah, exactly. So if I click the equal sign here, and I click on the two lines, bam. Now if I shrink one, or let me make one coincident to the origin real quick. If I make one shorter, the other one shrinks. If I make it longer, the other one gets longer. See? Wow. They're dancing. There you go. All right. Now the next one is actually quite cool. This one's called perpendicular. What perpendicular does is it basically says if you have two lines, all right, make it so that the angle in between the two lines is 90 degrees. All right. So for instance, a square, all of its corners are perpendicular. So if I apply it to two lines, it's just going to make it so that they have to be perpendicular. Okay, and now like you'll see even if I like rotate this line, right, that joint in between them is always going to be perpendicular. Okay, we're going to skip over fix. What fix does, well, I'm gonna talk about it anyway, but it's kind of, don't use it. It's bad. All it does is it makes it so you can't move your thing anymore. It's cheating. Anyway, it's kind of bad. It just makes it so you can't move your objects. Midpoint, however, is very nice, and you should use it all the time. What midpoint does is it basically makes it so that a line, I fixed it accidentally, hold up. Midpoint makes it so that a point touches the center of a line. All right, so look, if I make this line longer or shorter, that's always going to be in the middle. All right, which is really helpful for when you want to like center stuff. Okay. Next, has anyone heard the word concentric before? Anybody know what that means?
I believe so.
Yeah, what does concentric mean?
I'm not quite sure on the definition.
You just heard it before?
Yeah.
All right, so concentric applies to circles. All right, if you've ever heard the word concentric circles, what that means is that your circles are basically like perfectly inside one another. Okay, bam. This basically means that they're like centered around the same point. And it's like the same circle but smaller. It's kind of cool. It's very useful for when you're working with circles to use the concentric tool. All right, next one. Let's do collinear. Okay, what collinear does is it makes it, it's kind of like parallel, but they have to be at the same exact level. All right, so it's like saying if I were to extend a line out, they should meet up. So if I click on this line here and this line here, you'll see they get in line, and if I move one, the other one moves with it. See, look at that. Ooh. Okay, this may seem really boring right now because, you may not understand why you need to use this, but it'll make a lot more sense because in Fusion, sketching is one of the most important things, and making sure that you have like really robust sketches with a lot of constraints is very important. Okay, so actually collinear is the last one. These last two you're never going to use, so we're going to skip those. But there you go. Collinear, also very useful. Okay, now the reason that we're trying to do this is because the goal in Fusion when you're sketching is to get a fully defined sketch. Okay, you want your sketch to have no wiggle room, no room for interpretation. You want it to be exactly how it's shown. All right, and this is especially important if you want your part to be like manufactured by some manufacturer in like, I don't know, in like some workshop or like in China or something. All right, because you need to give them very specific instructions on how your object needs to look and like where all the lines need to be in relation to each other so that they can't, you know, interpret something differently and mess it up a little. Okay, so for instance, if I were to draw like a cool shape, I don't know, let's draw like a, just a weird little rectangle like this. All right, I would want to make this shape fully constrained. You'll actually notice already that these lines at the bottom and here are black, right? While all of these other lines are blue. The reason for this is that these lines are more constrained than these ones. All right, these lines are basically fully constrained as opposed to these guys here. All right, and our goal, actually, I'm gonna make this a little simpler so I don't have to go through this many steps to fully constrain this. I'm just gonna make it a cube. All right. Our goal is to basically get all of the lines on our shape to be black. All right. So one thing I can do to make it so that this cube has less wiggle room is I'm going to use the equal constraint to make it so that all of my walls are the same length. This way, I only have to add one more constraint to fix the size. All right, we don't currently have a constraint that we can use to set the size, but I'm going to show you guys that one real quick. It's called dimension. It's not up here anymore, is it? All right, dimension basically allows you to give real world sizes to things in your file. All right, so for instance, if I was building this cube to fit in like a very small cube holder, and I knew it had to be smaller than 40 millimeters in like width. All right, what I could do is I could go into create, and I could select the dimension tool at the bottom, sketch dimension, or you can click the shortcut D on your keyboard. All right, and then with this tool, you can give any line in your sketch a certain size. All right, so I'm just going to click any line right now. I'm going to move my mouse up. I'm not dragging right now. I'm just moving. And I'm going to click one more time. And I'm going to give it a size. So I'm going to say I want this to be 40 millimeters exactly. And one thing you'll notice, guys, check it out. All of my lines are black now. Do you see that? Wow. Ooh. All right. I know it's not very exciting, but the cool part now is that our sketch is fully defined. All right. And how you can test this, apart from it just being black, is that you can go around and try to drag on every line, every corner, every face, right? And just try to see if anything can be moved. All right. Your goal is to make it so that nothing can move. All right, and the sketch dimension helps that. All right, you'll want to add as minimal dimensions as you can. All right, so I only had to add one here because I already said that these two walls have to be equal. So if I say this one's 40 millimeters, this one's automatically 40 millimeters, right? And so are these ones because they're attached to them. All right, but there you go. We just created a cool little square. All right, now the challenge that I want to give you guys, this is what our little project is going to be now. To test your knowledge of constraints and make a very cool little project, I want you to grab the line tool, right? And you can follow along now. I want you to grab the line tool. I want you to start in the origin. And what I want you to do is I want you to go and quickly draw a really rough E letter shape. Okay, so let me demonstrate first, and then you guys can follow along. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and like draw an E. Okay, there you go. So as you can see, my E looks kind of horrendous right now. All right, but what I want you guys to do, I want you to draw your E, and I want you to intentionally make it kind of horrendous. All right, I don't want you to like draw a perfect E right off the bat. I want you to draw kind of an ugly E, and then I want you to go and I want you to use constraints to fix it. I want you to use constraints to make this E look like a perfect E, and then I want you to use dimensions to fully constrain it, make every single line black, make it so there's no room for interpretation. You can't move anything. All right. Also, guys, one thing to note, when you create this E in the first place, you may get some like weird constraints that happen right away that you don't actually want. So you can delete some of these. I'm just gonna actually delete all of the constraints that it gives me. There you go. All right, letter E. All right, let me know if you guys have any trouble with this. All right, but go ahead and create a letter E, and let's just start constraining. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple examples, and then I'll give you some freedom to try to figure out how to do these guys yourselves. All right, so I'm gonna use horizontal constraint right here on the back of my E to make sure it's like up and vertical. I know this has to be perpendicular to it, and this has to be perpendicular to that. And then maybe I'll use the collinear tool to make sure that all three of these guys are in line. Okay, and I'll use the horizontal tool to make sure all of these guys are horizontal. You can see already this looks a little better. Okay, let me throw a collinear in here to do this. Okay, one thing to note, equal signs are very good here. All right, for instance, these guys need to be equal. These guys need to be equal. Maybe these guys need to be equal. Let's just do that. There we go. All right, and my E is looking kind of wide right now, so I can shrink it down a little. Okay, and that's already looking quite nice. Okay, but you want to test it out. See what happens when you drag on it. What isn't constrained? All right, and then when you're done, throw some dimensions on it, maybe. I don't know, maybe throw a 50 on the spine. Okay, it's already getting black. See, I can't drag this up anymore. I can still drag these guys. So maybe I'll constrain that. Okay, let's see. I can't drag on this anymore.
I'm having some problems with.
Okay, and just let me finish one last step, right? I'm gonna add a constraint here. Okay, Ian, what troubles are you having?
When I put parallel or horizontal, vertical, it just messes the entire thing up.
It messes the entire thing up. Go ahead and share your screen. Let's take a look at this.
Okay. So this is what it's like right now after I put this or this on.
Okay, so use your trusty undo to get rid of that real quick.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so first thing I would do is you want guys, this is also something important for you guys to hear. In your sketch, you usually want at least one line or at least one corner, some point, to be coincident with the origin. So, Ian, can you go ahead and grab the coincident constraint?
This one?
Yeah, and then click the bottom left corner of your E and the center point, so the origin. No. Okay, no. Click the bottom left corner. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, do you see that little the little circle, like the nuclear symbol in the middle? Yeah, that guy. There you go. So now your E can't really move that much. So you can use some other constraints now.
Okay.
Okay, now you click escape and drag that up. Fix it. No. You can. That's fine. Click escape.
Okay.
Escape first.
Escape.
Okay, and now just click that line and drag it back up. You clicked for too long.
What? It's like two separate lines.
There you go. What? You have two separate lines somewhere? Or?
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Okay, there you go. So your E looks very nice, but keep going. Add some more constraints. Add some equals. Add some other fun things.
Okay.
And if any of you guys else need any help or something stupid happens, guys, feel free to share your screens and I can try to assist you.
How are you supposed to put a point in the middle?
How are you supposed to put a point in the middle?
Like a corner in the middle. Corner of the E in the middle.
Okay, so check this out. Okay, so this is my E right now. What happened? Hold up. This is my E right now. All right. If I want this to be rooted, what I want to do is I want to grab. Okay, guys, just again, this point right here, the one with like little nuclear symbol around it. This is called the origin. All right. So I'm going to click the coincident constraint, Jacob. All right. This one here, and then I'm going to click the bottom left corner of my E and the origin, and they will snap in place and live happily ever after.
Okay. And how do you get those black lines?
Those black lines. So these black lines represent the fact that my sketch is fully constrained. Your lines will be blue until it senses that it is fully constrained and it has nowhere to move. Okay, so they become black when they have reached their full potential. Unlocked their final form.
How are you supposed to do that though? How are you supposed to do that though?
The fully constrained. Okay, go ahead and share your screen. I'll take a look. Okay, so now I think your cube looks fairly constrained. The problem is the last constraint that you need to have is you need to add dimensions to your cube. Okay, so can you click the D key on your keyboard? There you go. So this right here is called the sketch dimension tool. All right, you can use this to set a length for certain lines. All right, so start by clicking that like black line on the back of the E, the spine. Okay, there you go. Now you see this. Hold up. Go to the left. Left. Okay, and then click again. And now you can set a specific dimension. So you can just round this up to like 150. Okay, click enter. Bam. All right, now already your E cannot be moved up and down anymore. All right, but let's add some more dimensions. Click on the, oh, you have two lines at the top. Hold up, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Can I request remote control? Guys, this is something for you guys to see too. If you have two separate lines somewhere that are like doing the same thing, you want to join those together. So to join those together, you're going to go under modify and no, what happened? You're going to go under modify and you can click extend. There you go. So now this is one long line. Okay. And now, Jacob, you take over again. Go ahead and click on that one long line. Okay, and give it a size. So you can round it to 90, or you can do 100 or something. There you go. Okay, and then the last thing you have to click on, okay, is that line. Yeah, that one right there. And then move your mouse up and give it a size. Okay, I thought that was the last one. Well, what else do you have? Hold on, let me poke around for a sec. Ah. There you go. Now your E is fully black. Let's just, I think this would probably make it look a little better. There you go. Beautiful. All right, guys, so this is exactly what you want. You want your E to be fully black. And Jacob, notice this, if you drag on any of the points, any of the lines, nothing happens. Your E won't budge. That's because it's fully constrained.
So, I know that you helped me already, but, my E is not working.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. I can take a look.
It's like messed up. Like really messed up.
It looks fine.
But
can you make this full screen real quick?
Okay, I can't really. Okay, full screen.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, so let me request remote control. I think the main problem right now is that your lengths here, and let me annotate. I think this line here and this line here need to be equal. Can you make those equal?
Oh, okay. Equal this and this.
Okay, that already looks a lot better, right?
Because I made this equal to this and this equal to this and this.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just something that you can do. You can if you can do it the other way around, but you're gonna have to like add more dimensions. Okay, now click on this, or click the D key.
Where's the D key?
It's on your keyboard.
Oh, this. This?
Yeah, that or the letter D on your keyboard. Those both work. Okay. And now click on this line.
Okay.
Sorry for my poor straight lines. Okay, and then no, go to the left. Go to the left. Go to the left.
Here?
No, you want to go outside of your E. Outside of your E. No, go to the left. Other left. Like over here. Okay, there
Instead
you
of
go.
adding those black lines, why can't we just fix it?
Because fixing is cheating. Fixing doesn't count as like actually fully constraining your object. It's like it's not fully constrained. It just doesn't move. I don't know. It's I don't know if I can't make like an equivalent example, but it's just cheating. Don't do it. Yes, there you go. And now just type in some dimension here, round it to like the nearest whole number or something. Do like 110.
I'm having a little bit of trouble.
I'll help you after, Ian.
Sure.
Okay, click enter. Okay, now apply one to this top line. No, go up. You always want to go just to the nearest outer area. Okay, click and make it, I don't know, like 60 or something, or like 50.
Wait, 0.
Okay, and then apply something to this line too.
So from here?
Yeah.
Here?
You can put it, see, it's not to here. It's just that the line that you click on, that's where the dimension is going. Where you actually put the dimension doesn't matter.
40?
Sure. Okay,
Looks kind of weird.
It looks kind of weird, exactly. So maybe make this guy a little smaller.
How?
So change it to like 30. Yeah, just double click on it and then change it to something.
I have made a hole inside of my E.
Okay, and then change maybe this guy to like 90 or something. Okay, that looks a lot better. There you
Yay.
go. And also notice all the lines are black.
Yep.
Okay, and if you try to like click on any of the points or anything and drag them around, nothing should happen. So it's fully constrained.
Okay.
Okay, Khaled, go ahead and share your screen. Ah, interesting. So
Yeah.
just go ahead and just delete it all. Just delete everything. So just
Okay.
highlight it and then click delete. So start
It's
here.
all
and
black.
then click here.
It's all black though. It's all
No,
black.
it's only black. It's only black because he's clicking on it right now.
How do you delete it? Wait.
So you want to just drag a box around it like this. Yeah, there you go. And then just click delete. There you go. Okay, now grab the line tool.
Yeah.
Okay, start by clicking in the center.
Yeah.
Okay, now go up. Okay, and you want to draw like every step of the E. So basically then go side. Okay, don't make it too perfect. Down. Okay, down, left. That's good. Down. Right. Down. Left. Down. Right. Down. And click back to the center. All right, now it's constraining time. Okay, let's just start with the horizontal vertical. Can you grab that guy?
Yeah.
Okay, and now just click on a lot of things. There you go. So you can see it's already shaping some stuff up. Everything else, you don't need to click on that one. Yeah, click on this guy too.
Oops.
Okay. So now we have a little problem. Can you click and just undo that? Okay. So for starters, let's just grab. Can you click escape? Let's just reposition some stuff real quick. So grab this point and just move it up. Okay. Then grab this point and also move it up. Okay, and now, again, grab the horizontal vertical and throw it on this guy.
Which one?
Awesome. Okay, so now it's equal time. Click the equal sign. Yeah, make this and this and this and this and this equal. So you can't click on multiple at a time. You have to click like 2 at a time.
Okay.
Oh, no, not that one. Why? No, undo that. Undo. Okay, who's drawing, guys? Stop it. So this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy need to be equal. So again, click on this one and then this one. No, start. Okay, can you just do, yeah. Hold on. This one and then this one. Okay, and now can you click escape real quick and just fix your E manually? Awesome. Okay, and now make this guy and this guy equal.
Sure. Okay, wait. One.
What did you just do? Can you undo real quick? Undo again. Yeah, okay, there you go. No, that's good. Okay, and now do the equal thing again. So that guy and that guy.
Oh,
Okay, perfect. All right. And now quickly make this guy equal to this guy. And this guy equal to this guy.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, we're not done yet. All right. Wait, you missed something, no?
Oh,
Oh no, okay, make this guy equal to this guy. Okay, now final step, can you go and grab the dimension tool right here?
okay.
Okay, click on this line. Okay, click there and give it a size. You can do like 130 or something. Now just click again. No, go over where it was. Just click. Okay, guys, stop scribbling on it. Yeah, and make it like 130.
Okay.
And let's click on this one. Okay, you can leave it as 100. That's probably fine. And then click on this one. Click the dimension tool first.
And then hit this one?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then give it a size of like 60 or something. Okay, awesome. Now do you see how your entire E is black?
Yeah.
All the lines are black. Okay, that's exactly what you want. So fully constrained shape. Okay, Aisha and Azima, how are you guys doing?
Well, I need help with mine.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Okay.
Also, Laszlo, how are you doing? Ah, you already extruded and everything. All right. Who needed help with theirs? Okay, Aisha, what part do you need help with?
Because before it wasn't all black and my
Wasn't all
lines aren't straight.
Okay, can you double click on this button right here in the bottom left?
Okay. Double click.
Can you wait, click cancel first. And then double click on that. Okay,
Yeah,
there you
see.
go. All right, so grab the equal tool and click on this and this. No, okay, Control Z. Undo. Okay, now equal tool and then that and that. Awesome. And then, did you do it? You didn't do it. Okay, grab the equal tool first. Awesome. Now then this and this. Okay, and then this and this. May I request roll control?
It says there's
Yeah,
an error.
Shape is not watertight, I think. That was the.
Laszlo, check the autosave. It might have been in there. No? Oh no, this is so sad.
Tim, we also need to cover where do the project get saved to and how to get it out.
Yes. Okay, there you go. E.
Well, thank you.
All right. Okay, we don't have a ton of time, so let's quickly speed run through this last part. All right. Once you guys have your E, I think all of you managed to get a fully constrained E, which is very cool. Very good job. This is what you want to be shooting for every time you're making a sketch. All right. It's not always necessary, and you don't always have to do it, especially if you're just working on like a little small fun project. But if you're doing anything of relative importance, fully constraining sketches is important. Plus, it makes it a lot easier for you to come back later and work with them. So for instance, now, if I came back and I realized, oh, darn, I 3D printed my E and it didn't work quite how I wanted it to. I wanted this line here to be a tiny bit shorter. I wanted it to be 22 millimeters, right? I can just go ahead and edit that. And if it wasn't fully constrained, I could have some other problems coming up. So every time I wanted to change some size or something, the entire E would just break into pieces. All right, which can very easily happen. But it is really important to fully constrain. Okay, so once it's fully constrained and everything, you can click Finish Sketch. And here's going to be a little bit of review real quick. Let's go ahead and extrude this E. All right, so let's click Extrude. Guys, cool thing that we can do is we can use shortcuts. Instead of Extrude, instead of clicking the button up here, we can actually just click E on our keyboard. All right, if you want to get really quick at modeling, using shortcuts on your keyboard is probably the quickest thing you can do, right? The best thing you can do. So I'm going to click E on my keyboard, and I'm just going to extrude it to about 10 mil and click OK. Bam. E. All right, so everyone go ahead and extrude this, and we'll spend the last
your
couple minutes.
sketch board?
Where's the sketch?
No, like the grid.
It disappears once you finish it.
Oh.
I don't have mine. Also, you can turn it on and off. If you see this little thing in the bottom right that looks like a grid, you can check the box that says layout grid or not. So if you want a grid, you can keep it like that. I don't know why mine doesn't have it on, but I've kind of gotten used to it like this, so I'm just gonna leave it. There you go. All right, guys, once you have your E, I also want you all to save it. So go ahead and click the Save button. Give it a fun name, Tim's E. All right, and I'm going to click Save. Big Oogoof. Laszlo, can you click File up here and go to where it says Recover Documents? All right, that's where it would be if it auto-saved. So you can check under there. Like, see, if you go here, it shows all of the stuff I've like opened and when it auto-saved. All right, so I haven't had anything since November, but like, there's some stuff there. Okay, so you can check there, Laz. So the file and then recover documents. All right, so once you've saved it, let's actually talk about the file structure of Fusion 360. So I just saved myself a little cube and Tim's E. All right, if I wanted to go and find these files later on, all right, I would have to click this little 3x3 grid of little squares here. I was just going to show me the data panel. All right, this is going to give me all sorts of really cool stuff. This is just going to show all of my projects. And and where I have them put. Right, you guys currently only have like one folder, but if you have multiple like me, right, here are all the folders I have here. You can go back and select which one you want. I'm going to go under Tim's first project because I think that's where I'm saving mine right now. And you'll notice if I scroll down or somewhere in here, it should have my files. I'm not very organized right now in this folder, but here's Tim's E. Okay, so that's saved. If I want to open it again, all I got to do is double click it and it'll open. But it is currently open, so it doesn't do anything. All right, but like later, if you're coming back and you just open up Fusion 360, you can double click and it should open up. Let me see if I can find my cube too. It's not
I
alphabetical.
think it's sorted in alphabet, yeah.
Oh, it is, yeah. Nice. My cube is right here. Cube. Actually, if I double click on cube, I think it'll just open up cube. There you go. See? Now, some things that you can do to also become more organized is you can use folders in here. So for instance, I'm going to click a new folder up here in the top right. It's going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this like summer camp class files. Right? This is going to be my folder. And I'm going to put my two things in there. Okay, to move them in there, I can find where they are. So my cube was right here. I'm going to right click on it and I'm just going to say move. It's giving me an option to where I want to move it. I'm going to move it to my summer camp class file. And I'm going to do the same thing with my E.
I missed the step where you show the files, where you find your files.
Where you find your files? Just
yeah, like,
click this little 3x3 grid and then all of your files are here.
okay, thank you.
You guys only have 2 files, so you shouldn't have the same problem of having to try to find them as me. All right, I just have like a buildup of stuff here over the past like 5 years. All right, I have stuff since like 2016 here. All right, guys, so once you have everything saved, though, that's just about it for this class. Good job with sketching today. Everyone managed to learn a lot about sketches and all the constraints. We only got to finishing the extrude on this E, but we're going to keep working on this tomorrow. All right, so for tomorrow's class, what we're going to do is we're going to keep going with this E. We're going to learn how to modify it, add some like cool rounded corners, you know, maybe poke some holes in it, play around with it, mess it up a little. And then we'll take a look at some new design methods. So maybe we'll look at how to revolve things. And we can make some cool shapes with that. Or we'll work on a little project. Maybe we'll make like a little fidget spinner or something. Okay? So those are some of the things you can do. If you want, you guys can play around with this a little bit in the off time. So for tomorrow, maybe try to make, actually that could be a challenge for tomorrow. So make a new file and using your newfound constraint knowledge, I want you to try to make a 5-point star. All right, so like a star. Okay, so once again, just make it like really rough at first, right? And then slowly turn it into something nice. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to do the entire thing right now. That'll be a little challenge for you guys. So you can try to do that for tomorrow, and we'll cover that actually first thing tomorrow when we get back. Okay?
So
Thank you.
So are there any questions?
No.
Oh, everyone's good?
Wait, so this is like homework, kind of?
Yeah, this is like your homework. Make
Okay.
a star.
Okay.
You can extrude it, add some cool edges. All right, but apart from that, if you guys don't have anything else to ask, it's 12 now, so you guys are free to go.
Tim?
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So you
bye.
know how me and Nazim are gonna be coming to the next class, like
Yeah.
on N1,
Mhm.
but we don't have our kit. So should we still come, or like what should we
You
do?
can still come just so that you know what's going on. Like we're going to be talking about some stuff that you don't necessarily have to have your kid there. Let me stop.
Okay.
real quick.
Okay.